Without further ado, I'd like to introduce our special guest, a guy I've been chasing on the show for a very long time. My guy, Kahil from Locked On Pistons. What up, though, man?
What's the deal? What's the deal, everybody?
How you feeling, bro?
How are you, brother?
I'm doing good, man. I've been sitting here listening to you guys talk about Zion and stuff. So I'm ready to start
You don't
talking.
look happy.
So, okay, let's jump right into it then. This obviously proposed trade, I don't think it would happen. I don't think Charlotte would accept it. But if those were the parameters, if that was the price, would you be willing to go out there and get Zion Williamson?
I feel like you accept it and then like hang up the phone before they even have a chance to like reconsider it.
What I'm saying.
First of all, there's no way the Pelicans would do that trade without getting one of Duren or Ivy. I don't even know if Duren would be enough for the Pelicans. And then not even talking about the Hornets. The Hornets are basically in that trade just like forfeiting. Like, I don't know what like is going on with the Hornets in that trade. So I know it's from ESPN, which got a lot of us, including myself, like talking about it more. But I don't see how that trade works for really like anyone besides the Pistons.
Yeah, honestly, that was my exact reaction on Twitter. I was like, there's no way let the Pistons get off like
Maybe
this.
Troy Weaver just plays a God card.
It'd be like when Chris Paul
Weaver
was...
would be walking around with like a ski mask. And that
Troy hits up J. Cole.
like,
Black Air Forces too. For
Troy
sure.
hits up J. Cole. He's like, I know you're new to this, bro, but this is what's gotta happen.
This is what we're going to do. Remember I was going to sign you to the Pistons?
Yeah.
Let me get that one back. Let me get that. No, they definitely wouldn't let the Pistons get off like that. That was my exact reaction. But you have to, bro. With a guy like Zion. Plus, the contract, too, is heavily incentivized. Like, a lot of people like to point to that money.
I just want to say real quickly with Zion's contract. I was talking with somebody well connected with the Pelicans a few days ago, and like the amount of like incentives and protections that go into his contract, it's structured in a way that where like it's not as bad as some would think. I believe the way he was saying it to me was, and none of this is like public. A lot of this stuff is like private. They don't have it on like on Spo Track or anything.
Yeah.
But like I believe the way it was describing to us was like, if you were to release, like if something was go wrong with Zion, you release him, like a lot of it wouldn't be guaranteed, so you could get off a lot more. So
Yes.
his contract still counts against the salary cap, but you can get off of it if it really went south like that. But I get the concern some people have, even though I think it's insanely overblown when you're talking about a guy like Zion.
Yeah.
Amen.
There's different, Detroit fans are split in our chat right now. We got people saying, hell no, never do this, don't take Zion. And then you've got Kenneth Ryan in the Woodward Sports Chat. He says, Zion could spit in my mouth. So, it's, Detroit fans are right down the middle of whether they want this to happen or not.
All right, man. Enough about Zion, because I'm with you. I think that one's a little bit too good to be true. But I do want to talk about the draft, which is this week, which has come pretty fast. Usually I feel like we're really anxious for this one, but I don't know why. For some reason, this one's popped up on us. But I stay connected with you every once in a while, and you're big on the Thompson twins. On this show, not so much. Spinny's a Taylor Hendricks guy.
Yeah.
I myself, a Cam Whitmore. I believe, Chris, we talked to you into Cam Whitmore.
I was always Cam.
Yeah.
Always.
You were Jarris Walker for a minute there.
No.
Or no. Terrence, what's his name? Something Black?
No, Anthony Black was just a prospect. Anthony Black was a prospect I liked, but it was always Cam Whitmore from Jump Street when I saw the tape. Always.
But cool, you do this on the daily. You are the hardest working Pistons content creator out there. If you guys aren't following him already, make sure you do so. Make sure you subscribe and lock in with my guy, Locked On Pistons. But you had the Thompson twins, right? As your 1 and 2?
Yes.
Explain what's going on. What am I missing? I'm not.
So look, Amen is not. I don't even really talk about Amen with the Pistons as much, is because he's probably going to be gone at 3 or 4. I have Amen as the third best prospect in this class. I have him in the same tier as Scoot Henderson. There was a report today that came out talking about his workout with the Rockets, and there's multiple people across the league calling him the best athlete we've ever seen, which is not it's not them exaggerating. He is quite possibly the best athlete we're going to ever see. When he plays on the NBA court, he's going to be the best athlete in the NBA instantly. And I don't think people quite understand that it's the difference between being like just athletic and being the best athlete in the NBA. Like there's a vast difference between being like Hamidou Diallo and the best athlete in the NBA, because it's not just about speed and vertical. It's about balance. It's about control, body control in the air. It's about being able to contort your bodies in different types of ways. It's literally everything. He might be the best athlete as soon as he touches the floor in the NBA. And when you combine that with he's going to be a great playmaker in the NBA. He has great feel on the basketball court. He's very versatile on both sides of the floor. A lot of people seem to think that he needs the ball in his hands nonstop to be able to be effective, and that's just not true with Amen. He's very versatile offensively. You can use him in different ways because he has such a high IQ and such a high feel for the game of basketball. He can play in multiple varieties of different ways. So I could go on and on about Amen. He's my favorite prospect in the draft, but I don't think he's even going to be possible for the Pistons. I think he's going to go. I think it's very likely whoever trades with Portland at 3 takes him at 3, and then Brandon Miller slips. But Ausar Thompson is the one I think is going to be available for the Pistons at 5, and the shooting concerns are more valid with Ausar than Amen, because Amen's going to be able to get away with the shooting concerns because of how freakish of an athlete he is. Like, you guys were talking about Zion earlier. The thing with Amen, it's going to be the same thing with him, where like, I think you were talking about it easy, that like guys would sag off of Zion and he would still, like, he just punishes them at the rim. People don't really understand that when you have athletes like Amen, when you have athletes like Zion, like Giannis, giving them a runway is not good defense, because you're just giving them the runway to speed up and come right at you, and they're just going to, like, that's not good defense. So they're not going to be able to just sag off them. It doesn't work against any of those guys. But with Ausar is a great athlete. I think he'd be like 95th percentile athlete, but he's not the same athlete as his brother, and he's not the same playmaker as his brother. He needs the shooting. He needs his outside shot to come around more than his brother does for him to succeed in the NBA. But with Ausar, I believe in his shooting progression. At the end of the OTE season, he shot really well from beyond the arc. A lot of the threes he was shooting really well from towards the end of the season were self-created looks too, so not just catch and shoot threes. A lot of them are step-back threes, crossover, step back. Like, a lot of it was just self-generated threes, which signals great things. He has nice touch too, so I believe in his shot. So now if you move past this shot, which has everybody concerned, which, by the way, the OTE line is the NBA line. They've been shooting from the NBA line for 2 years, which helps their progression, unlike college athletes who are shooting closer to the rim. But with Ausar, he is another guy who just has really high feel on the basketball court. He's a really good off-ball player. He probably is going to struggle a little bit at first as an on-ball player, but off-ball player, he's a very, very high feel guy on that side. Knows how to cut, knows how to attack gaps. He can take some secondary playmaking duties because he has good playmaking. It's not like his brother, but he has good playmaking. Again, another guy who knows how to play the right way. And then defensively, outside of Anthony Black, I think he's possibly going to be the best defender on the perimeter in this class. I think eventually he'll end up a better defender than Anthony Black. So, and he has potential on defense, not just on the perimeter, but on the weak side down below. Kind of like how you see MPJ play defense for the Denver Nuggets when Jokic is high on the screen, Roller gets behind them, and then MPJ's meeting him at the rim on the weak side of rim protection. Ausar is going to be crazy at that. Like, he's going to be great perimeter-wise and on weak side rim protection. The real thing with Ausar is if his three-point shot comes around, if his three-point shot actually does develop, he's going to be a monster. Like, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. But the thing is, the only thing I'll say with the Twins, I've been talking for a minute. I'll leave you guys with that. But with Ausar, Amen can get away with his outside shooting not being great because he's so insanely great at some of the other things. He can get away with it. If Ausar is not a good three-point shooter, if he can't get to around 33, 35% in that range, it's going to be a real struggle for him to really make an impact, because a lot of his game on the offensive end is going to have to come off of defenses respecting him somewhat from beyond the arc. So if there's one of the Twins you have to actually talk about shooting with, it's Ausar, not Amen. Amen will be fine without being a great shooter.
And we saw, some reports saying that the Pistons like Ausar. They love Ausar, and they're going to be targeting him. Do you buy into that? Are you hearing any of that? Because we know that Troy Weaver plays things close to the vest. Like, you're not going to get much out of him, but we've seen the reports. I think it was from Bleacher Report saying that Ausar is somebody that the Pistons are keying in on.
All I can say is, yeah, Weaver, they really like him. That's all. I could say some other things, but I'm going to keep him close. Come on. But I'm gonna keep it. I have to keep it close. But they like him. I can say that they like him.
I mean, further, I guess, prove that point, did cancel his workouts for the remaining teams following. Which workouts were Chris? He was
Indiana at 7.
Yes. But
So
I
it
agree.
could be the Pistons or Orlando at 6-2. I think he'd fit good with Orlando at 6-2. So it doesn't mean it has to be the Pistons. It could be Orlando.
I agree with that.
I'm 100% agreement with you as far as like Ahmed as a prospect. Chris is actually one who put me onto him. Actually, at our house during the final, that's the last finals
during
game.
the finals game, yeah.
And Chris was there for my reaction. I was blown away. I mean, almost like another more athletic version of Cade. And I think it could work, but I just think you're too reliant on Ivy or just one of the three to shoot consistently. I think Cade and Ahmed could work just because of the athleticism of Ahmed, but then you need Ivy to consistently knock down that three. Although he did shoot it a lot better than I expected, but I don't know, man. I'm just not in love with that fit per se.
Could I say something about the fit thoughts here?
Yes.
So
I'm wearing
this is why
fresh fit.
I got that Kendrick Tour merch on.
This is why I'm against the fit ideas with any of the prospects, really, because I saw somebody tweet this at me today, and it's a great point. I feel like how Pistons fans need to be thinking about this. They just won 17 games last year. All of these guys are 20, 21, 19 years old. Like, they have an extremely young core. They're probably like 5 to 7 years away from being like they may make the playoffs at some point before then, or the play-in, whatever. But like probably like 5-7 years away from being like considered legit contenders, like that kind of thing. And by then, more than half this team's going to be gone. It could be like Ivy could be gone, Duren could be gone. It's very likely that like by then maybe they package a lot of those guys to go get a star to pair with Cade and be this team is nowhere near close to the point where I feel like they need to be worried about fit, because the team could be completely different in 3 to 4 years because they don't know where they're going to end up. And when it's strictly about, I mean, with Amen, with the fit, Amen, I have him such great of a prospect that, like, if he were to fall to 5 with the Pistons, he wouldn't be the one eventually that people would be talking about getting rid of. Like, if it came to that, it wouldn't be him, because he's that's how great of a prospect I think he is. But I don't think that they would run into many problems. I truly don't think they'd run into many problems, because Ivy is a better shooter than I feel like people give him credit for. And before Cade went down, the big sell on Ivy was that he played real good off ball in Purdue, and he could play off ball next to Cade. And one of the reasons why Cade was such a great prospect was because he could play on and off ball. So, and also Amen, I like I said earlier, I don't believe he needs the ball in his hands nonstop to be effective too. So when you got guys that are versatile like they are, if he were to fall to 5, I don't think that would be a problem. Same kind of thing with Asar, but just to a lesser extent. I don't think Asar is nearly as good of a prospect as his brother, but kind of the same idea.
I think we're just agreed. It's like one of those guys that start knocking down the ball, or like you said, maybe someone's ushered out. In that scenario, I got to ask, like, you said it's not Amen, so who is it?
So I want to make this very clear. I would not get rid of any of them, because I think all of them could fit together. But I think, and I really do think, one of the things I've been bringing up a lot is that if you look at the top teams, my goodness, across the NBA, they play multiple ball handlers at a time. If you look at Denver, they were running lineups where they had Aaron Gordon at the 5, Bruce Brown, Jamal Murray. They would, if Aaron Gordon wasn't at the 5, it'd have Nikola Jokic. If you go look at Boston, they'd run lineups with Tatum, Brown, White, Brogdon, and Marcus Smart. Like, if you look at the top, and then again, you can even go to Golden State. You got Steph, Clay, Draymond, Poole, Wiggins. Like, all the teams that you look at, they have multiple guys that are playmakers on the floor. I think what people, at least what I'm predicting and what I'm seeing across the NBA, is that you're seeing a change in the meta in the NBA. Everyone thinks that it's just about shooting. And what's really transforming into, because of the talent of the NBA, is you need multiple guys on the floor who are capable of attacking a closeout, attacking gaps, and then having high feel and high enough processing to then make the right skip, the right pass, the right read, and then just keep rinse and repeat. You attack a closeout, kick, then that guy gets it, he attacks a closeout, attacks the gap, sees the right pass, kick, just constant repeat over and over and over. And that's what you see from a lot of the great teams. So that's why I really don't think any of them would have a problem. If I was forced to pick one of them in a few years, it's not Cade and it's not Amen, because Amen, I truly think Amen could be like, at his ceiling, if he were able to even get to like 31% from deep, like, I think he's top 10. He could be like a top 10 player in the NBA, and like, I think he's that great. He could be that great. I mean, I guess maybe Ivy, but even like again, even saying that I wouldn't do it because I really don't.
Clip
think
it. We got it, guys. All right, we're good. I'm joking. I'm joking.
I really would not move any of them. I'm for real. I wouldn't. I don't think Amen's falling, but if he did, I don't think you run into a problem. I think Ivy is actually a really good off-ball player. I think he plays well.
You definitely surprised a lot of people this year.
Yeah,
or
for sure.
Maybe just me.
No, he
Chris.
surprised me too somewhat. I didn't think he'd shoot this well from deep, and he actually was pretty good. Like on open catch and shoots, I think he was in like the 89th percentile. So
Damn,
he
I
was
didn't know
really
that.
good when he was open.
Yeah, so I mean, like for me, it's been all over Piston Twitter, and I know you've seen it because I've seen your podcast, and I've seen people tweeting at you about Cam Whitmore a lot, and that seems to be the favorite. That's my pick, just because of the outside shooting and all of his abilities with his athleticism. He's definitely a tier under the Thompson twins, but still a very high level athlete. Is it more so just the IQ and feel that the Thompson twins have that puts him over Cam for you, or what specifically is it that puts them over Cam for you?
Well, for Amen goes over him because, again, I don't think Amen's even in these discussions. Like, I think he's at like the top of the draft kind of discussions. So, so that's why I'm not even going to like. I don't want to spend too much time. I keep going back to Amen, but
that's
he's
fair.
like, I truly think he's like at the top of the draft. I don't think he's in the conversation for 5 kind of thing. So with Asar, the reason why I would have Asar above him is because it's because of the feel. I think Asar's processing is so much better than Cam's. It's like, I know some people feel like it wasn't shown enough at Villanova because of the system, but I think Asar's feel is just way better than Cam's. I think his processing is way better than Cam's. His playmaking is way better than Cam's. I trust, and it comes down to this too. I think this is the swing factor. Even if you believe like those things are better for Asar's favor, it really just comes down to the fact: do you believe Asar is going to become an okay 3-point shooter? Because if he can become an okay 3-point shooter, where he's around 33, at least 33%, you combine all those other things. Now I don't think he's going to be too close. Like I think you're looking at like an Andrew Wiggins, maybe even a little bit better than Andrew Wiggins type of player that impacts the game in multiple different areas defensively with better playmaking. Like I think Asar would be a much better playmaker than Wiggins even will or has been. I don't know if Wiggins is that great of a processor like I think Asar is, but that's kind of like the big comparison I've seen with Asar at his best. I think he could honestly be even better than that. But yeah, it's the processing, it's the feel, the playmaking. Those are the 3 main things. But even then, if you don't think Asar's 3-point shot's coming around, then you shouldn't take him. Because even with those things, he's not as good at those things that his brother is to where it won't matter. He needs the 3-point shot. So if you don't buy his 3-point shot, don't take him. I buy it because of his touch and the progression he's made over 2 years at OTE and how a lot of it was coming on self-created looks. So I buy it, but if you don't personally, I understand why you wouldn't take him then.
What about a guy like Taylor Hendricks? Like, that's who I love. I look at his tape, and I think he can do a lot, especially in this league where I like his versatility defensively, how he can guard both guards and bigs. He can play in the paint. He's obviously a great shooter. One of the best shooters in this draft is – I know there's a logjam in that front court for the Pistons that, you know, a lot of guys are going to be getting minutes and possibly moving around a couple of those guys or moving a guy out of there to get some more people minutes. But how would his fit be on this team, and do you think that could be an option for them at 5?
So I actually really, really like Taylor Hendricks. And if the Pistons were lower in the draft, he would probably be my number 1 by far to pick. I don't think he's value-wise the right pick to go with 5. But I said this the other day on my podcast. If they had Taylor Hendricks in the same group as like it was like Taylor, Asar, and Cam, and Jarris too. I really like Jarris, by the way. I think Jarris and Asar are like my top 2 right now. But if they have Hendricks in that same group, if they wanted to trade back to like 7 or 8 and then take him there, I would be completely fine with that. 'Cause I think Hendricks actually is a really great fit next to Duren. And while I don't think Hendricks will ever be like, and we could be wrong, but I don't think Hendricks will ever be like a better individual talent than some of the guys I just named. But I think some of the things you mentioned, like his role at the 4 position, how well he'd fit next to Duren, how good of a shooter he is, plus the weak side rim protection he would provide, plus the athleticism. He could be so good in that role with just the role that you ask him to do next to Duren with the spacing and the defense and the switching and as a lob threat, all those things. He could be so good at just those things that he may provide, like, he may be like a more impactful player on a winning team in like 5 to 7 years than any of the other guys, even though he may not be more talented than them. He may just be a more impactful player because of the role he'll be in and how good he is at that role. So, and I think finding the guy who fits best next to Duren is a key thing that they want to try to address. And I think he would fit really perfectly next to Duren. So if they did want to trade back to like 7 or 8 and draft him, I would be fine with that too.
Yeah, Taylor Hendricks is fine. He's like my 2 in terms of like my big board of guys that actually be there. Like we talked about Amen earlier, but like I said, I don't think he'll be there as well. But I did want to go back real quick to the Amen versus Cam conversation, just because I wanted to ask, because Cam's what, the second or third youngest guy in this draft class? Like, there's
he's
the Thompson,
18.
yeah, Thompson twins are 20. Do you think like that's the difference in his feel for the game, like him being 2 years older and Cam being so young?
It could. So that's definitely one of the arguments to be made for Cam, is that he's so young that you can still build those good habits and kind of like build up his processing and like build that more like from the ground up, rather than a guy who's like 20, 21 and like he's kind of already dug in on his bad habits and like it's going to be harder to get out of. For me, and I've talked with a few like draft scouts about this stuff, 'cause I really want to get like a feel of what they think about these kind of things. For me, I feel like feel processing for a prospect is one of the hardest things to develop. I don't want to say you almost either have it or you don't, but it's really hard to. I like shooting is something I feel like you can really develop. Like you can trust like your shooting development coach to try to get someone's shot a little bit better. I can trust someone to develop their handle somewhat. I feel like processing and just overall feel for the game is one of the harder things to develop. One of the guys that I feel like a lot of people kind of throw out here, if some of my boys are watching this, they're gonna be mad I make this comment because they don't like it. But some of the things I hear people talk about is like Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown had really bad processing, and he wasn't great with the feel for the game. And he's turned out, I think he was All-NBA third team this year. But even like still in like playoff scenarios, when you watch it, you see it pop off the page. So like that's the peak. That's like the peak like outcome for guys like that, I feel like. And there's not many that you see like get to that level when they have this kind of. Now he could do it. He could do it for sure. And him being young definitely plays to his advantage, because maybe you can get him in young, develop him through your program, and kind of build those things. I know there's some people out there too that feel like that he has shown better processing like in high school and when he played in FIBA than he did at Villanova, so they think maybe that he could unlock it a little bit more in the NBA. So I get all that too. Just for me, I'm going to always bet, and maybe it's just a bias I have, if you have great feel, great playmaking, great IQ, and know how to play the game really well, and you're a hard worker, which the Thompson twins both are, I'm always going to, like, that's the guy I'm always going to take. So I'm going to bet on those guys. But, again, Cam is really explosive, too. Cam, I'm not going to come on here and act like Cam's bad, or I'd be mad if they took Cam or something. I have these guys above him. But Cam is really explosive. Like, he's bouncy as ever. If he's going to draw a lot of free throws. Yeah, he's going to draw a lot of free throws around the rim. He's going to be a fine catch and shooter. I don't know if he has the same type of self-creation that a lot of people think he can get. I don't know if I buy any of that. I don't think he'll ever be a good playmaker. But I think one of the best comparisons he's gotten, which I could definitely see, is like Miles Bridges. And I think he could possibly get there. So, and maybe even better, because he is I think he maybe could be a little bit better than Miles Bridges, but that's like his best outcome. And a lot of these prospects never reach their best outcome. But I think Miles Bridges is like his best comp.
Yeah. And before we let you go, Ku, I know a lot of people are high on Jarris Walker and loved you. You said he's high on your board too. I'm not really seeing the fit there with Jarris Walker personally. Yeah, we call him beef stew with broccoli. Like, what about Jarris Walker is so enticing for you that you want him on, or he's that high on your list?
So this is the thing. For everyone who's out on Jarris Walker and does not like Jarris Walker, this is what I would tell you. Try your best to just please remove Isaiah Stewart from your brain when you're watching him. Just get Stu out your brain when you watch him. Jarris has showcased more offensive creation than Stu ever has. He dribbles more. He creates for himself more than Stu can. His processing on the offensive side of the floor and defensive side of the floor is otherworldly. If you see him in the short roll, he makes routinely the right pass to the skip corner, routinely the right pass to the dunker spot. He has nice touch in the mid-range area. He's he's the type of guy that if you have to buy his 3-point shot. He shot 34.5% this past season from college, and in high school he barely even shot threes. So it's kind of like a progression that you're seeing from him to make you think like, okay, maybe he can become a good 3-point shooter. Now I know I think he shot 67% from the free throw line, so that's also something to be a little worried about, because usually good 3-point shooters are like good free throw shooters too. It's a good way to like indicate whether someone's going to be a shooter at the next level. But the thing with Jairus is that I think he's probably going to be an all defensive team guy for a lot of years, and he processes it really well, the offensive side of the ball, really well, to where he's going to make the right pass and find the open guy routinely, kind of like in an off-ball playmaker kind of role. Like, he's not going to be making the reads, I don't feel, off a live dribble or anything, like creating live dribble then skipping the pass or anything. But if he sets a screen, double, then he's in the slipping, short roll, and he gets it, he can make the right read routinely, quickly, very fast, and do that kind of thing. If you don't buy his self-creation, you can't take him at 5. A lot of people do buy his self-creation somewhat. I buy it some to an extent, so that's why I'd like him at 5 because of everything else. But if you don't think he's ever going to be a guy that can create somewhat for himself, or create advantages for other people to really like take advantage of his playmaking, then yeah, you don't take him if you're not as high on that. But I think his processing is just so high level on the offensive end and defensive end, especially when it comes to his passing, man. He makes some passes that like you just shouldn't be able to make as like a 4. I don't want to compare it to, I'm not going to make the comparison, but he makes some nice passes. So I really like him. I like him, but he has to. What do you say?
Who was the comparison you were thinking of?
Like, it's kind of like Draymond Light in his short roll passing. Like, he makes the right pass. It's not even just like the fact that, again, it goes back, I know I keep saying this word, but it goes back to processing. Like, you can make the right pass, but if it takes you like 1 second, 2 seconds, then you make the pass, now the defense is like rotating really quick, and now it's kind of dead. He can make that processing read like that, and it really helps an offense. But again, that in and of itself is not enough to be like a 5th overall pick. If you don't think he's ever going to be able to create with the ball in his hands and create for his own offense and create advantages for others, he's more of a guy you take it like 7, 8, kind of like that. But it all depends how you feel about his offensive creation upside.
For sure.
That is like semi the type of big I almost want to have next to Duran, because like I had a conversation with Jalen Rose like 2 years ago, and he's like, the way 2 big men work the best is if both from the pass. And I think Duran has a respectable passing game, and obviously Jairus Walker has what he has too. But before we let you go, Koo, where can people find you and listen to more of your content?
You can find me over at Locked On Pistons every single day, even during the offseason. We grinding over here. You can also find me over on Twitter at Kahil. But yeah, that's it. I appreciate you guys having me on. There's a lot of fun. Definitely let me know whenever you guys want me to come back on. I'm always down to talk some Pistons.
For sure.
But just want to say this real quick. This is for all my Asar Thompson guys out there. We stand up, man. I think he's coming to the Pistons in a few days. I think we get Asar, man. I think we get him. So everyone stand up. Asar Hive, we here, man. We here.
Who said Avengers Assemble? I love it. I appreciate you, bro. We're definitely going to have you on again. Thanks a lot, man. It was awesome.
Yep. Yes, sir.